today we'll have an interesting review, because today we're going to have a look at a Mont Blanc, and not just any Mont Blanc, but a Mont Blanc that was launched not too long ago. Joost Appelboom from Appelboom Pennen was kind enough to lend this to me for a review, and well, I can definitely say this is an interesting pen. It is the Mont Blanc M, and the Mont Blanc M is designed by a rather famous contemporary designer. Well, obviously contemporary, because if he was dead he would have designed it now, I guess. Mark Newson. Mark Newson from Australia, mate. So the M doesn't stand for mate. I mean, I also don't know if it's supposed to stand for Mark, or if it's supposed to be Mont Blanc, but in any case, he designed it. Comes in this box, paper sleeve, actually very decent, nice glossy paper. Of course, it is Mont Blanc, right, so it is a bit fancy. Comes with this really nice service guide, which also looks pretty cool. And then you have the box, and the box is simple. It's maybe a bit understated, but I actually enjoy that little guide in there too. And then there is I found that very fascinating, there's a little Mont Blanc cartridge. It's supposed to be a cartridge only pen, but Appelboom does supply this pen with a converter, they say. So the reason I say they say is that I was in Akkerman in The Hague, the fountain pen store, and we tried to put a converter in one, and I think the Mont Blanc converters didn't fit. But I know if I completely misremember that, that's what I seem to recall. In any case, I found a converter that does fit, but this is not a piston fill pen. Alright, and it also comes with a little demonstration sample, use Mont Blanc ink only. I found that very fascinating. So it actually comes with an empty cartridge too. I wonder why they don't just give you another cartridge, but the idea is nice. And then there is, of course, the pen. There's also the box. Nice soft lining, and as I said, that other Mont Blanc cartridge. And then there is this pen. This is the Mont Blanc M. Okay, I'm going to cover the parts of the pen. I'll tell you what I like about it, what I don't like about it. But first, I'll read you a quote from this very extensive brochure that was made about this pen. Mark Newson says, "It was my idea to move the iconic logo from the tip of the pen and place it on a flat surface. This gives the pen a clear personality." Pardon my Australian there, but well, there is something going on with personality, because it doesn't really look like a standard Mont Blanc, which is either to your liking or it's not, but I'll come back to that. Let's cover the parts of the pen. On the top of the cap, of course, is the white star, because that's Mont Blanc's trademark. I'm sure they would not let anyone take that off there. Then you have this clip, which is not particularly Mont Blanc-ish, I think, and from that point it kind of goes downhill, not necessarily in a bad way, but it becomes very un-Mont Blanc-ish. So, for example, here you have this barrel. The barrel is a barrel, and it ends here in a very flat bit, which has that white star on it again. I think, in a way, it's very cool that you have the white star there, but if it would have been on there, you would put it in a shirt pocket, everyone would have been able to see it standing out, sticking out to the front, whereas now you don't really see that unless you are writing. And that's, in a way, I think, fairly original, that when you write, you can actually see it. Okay, then you have this cap. I'll come back to the cap in 1 second. You take it off, you have this very ribbed section and a folded nib that's folded around the feed, and it's very Lamy Safari like. You unscrew the barrel. This one is stickered. It's a fine nib. As you may or may not know, Mont Blanc doesn't put that on the nib, so it's useful to have the sticker on there. The nib itself, by the way, says MN for, I'm assuming, Mark Newson. It has 585 AU on there because it's gold. And it says Mont Blanc, and that's pretty much it. So they have that. And then you have a converter, and this happens to be a Kaweco converter of all brands. That was the one I could fit in there. And as you can see, that's a good fit. But I couldn't fit just any converter in there. So you have to be a bit careful if you want to buy this and you want to use bottle ink and you don't want to refill cartridges. I would really make sure in the shop that it fits, because a lot of universal converters I was unable to fit in there. Okay, you screw the barrel back in place, and of course the fancy thing about this pen and the cap is that the cap is magnetic, or I'm assuming the barrel is magnetic and the cap kind of receives that. Now, if you let it go at the right angle, it will just click in place, and if you let it go too low, so you put the cap in too far, then it will not snap shut, and you need to still push it back in there. So it's interesting, but it's a bit finicky, I would say. Cool thing about this is that they did something with the polarity of the magnets. So no matter how you turn it, if you let it go, the clip will always align with the star. At least that's the idea, but if you overturn it, then it will overshoot a little bit. But I think the idea there is very cute, that the clip and that star always align. Alright, so what do I think about the pen? What do I like about it? What do I not like about it? Well, I think its biggest blessing is also slightly its curse. This doesn't shout Mont Blanc at me. You know, when I think of a Mont Blanc, you can like it or you cannot like it, but I think of these types of pens. Black, gold trims, and this very standard cigar shape. That is a Mont Blanc pen. When I look at this, I think, hey, the new Lamy. You know, I mean, I understand it has the white star, but I guess in a way it still has the cigar-ish shape, but it's definitely very modernized. And I think that's going to appeal to a specific crowd of people. I can imagine that let's just say young professionals would not like to see this, but would like to see something different. On the other hand, a lot of people buy Mont Blancs for the status. You can have long and short discussions about that, but I think that's the case. Mont Blanc has a great reputation and is a status symbol. And I think even a lot of young professionals would still prefer this because this is what everyone recognizes. This is not what people recognize. So I think that's a bit of an issue. That doesn't mean it's a bad pen. It has a nib. The nib writes well. I've had no real issues with it. No, it still starts up pretty much immediately. And this is fine. It's a bit feedbacky, but it's definitely a very pleasant writer, so I found. And of course, that's the most important thing about a pen, the way it performs. But with a Mont Blanc, you buy that, a Mont Blanc. And you buy a Mont Blanc for a specific reason. Not just because you want a good writing performance, but also, I think, because you want a Mont Blanc. You want to have that white star. And for me, this pen, that's where it falls short. It's just that it doesn't have the excessive luxury that I associate with Mont Blanc. Rightfully or wrongfully, possibly both. But in any case, that's my issue with this. Okay, that's enough about, well, let's say aesthetics and maybe more moral things. So at a very practical level, this magnetic closure is really cool, but it doesn't work. It's nice, but if you don't let it go at exactly the right angle, you see, I did that pretty. You should do it up there, not up here, because that won't snap shut. But even, whoops, there we go. And even if I do it up there, it didn't snap shut. You see, still have to do that manually. You can do it like this, but then you have the addition of gravity. But even then, I just did 3 attempts. It worked in 33% of the cases. So it's cute, it's nice, but unless I'm misinterpreting this and the idea is only that the magnets are there to make sure that this aligns, but if you only want this to align, all you need really is a push cap, right? You just have a snap cap like this that you can align it yourself. So it's a bit gimmicky. And all of that would be fine, but it is a €500 pen. So we're not talking about something that you just toss out there and you just pick it up randomly. For most people, this would be a bigger purchase. And I think that, combined with a slightly gimmicky feeling, to me doesn't really work. Now the final thing I will say that I don't like so much is you have this flat side, and I think, ooh, flat side, that must post really well. But it doesn't. This doesn't work. The cap will just fall off. So there's no posting either. And I think the idea was that you shouldn't post it because then you see that white star. So you're writing and you show off that you own a Mont Blanc. Yeah! You know? And I just don't think that's another thing for me that doesn't work. So, there you have it. I'm not going to give you any measurements. Measurements will be on the website. As well as high-resolution pictures of the pen and the writing sample. And that's pretty much all there's to it. Joost, thanks a lot for lending this pen to me. I really appreciated the opportunity to review it. It was requested by a lot of people. Let's do writing sample next. That's all there's to it. So glad to see you later. Bye bye. Okay, so here we go with the Mont Blanc M. But before we do that, look at this. Mishka from Bureau Direct saw that I used the last page of my little writing pad for one of my last reviews, and she immediately jumped to the rescue and said Bureau Direct will send you some more paper. So if you enjoy my reviews, then be very happy that Mishka sent me this, because obviously without paper there wouldn't be reviews. So I'm very, very happy. Thanks Mishka, I really appreciate it. Now we have this beautiful Rhodia pad to do the reviews on. Here's the M. One thing I wanted to point out, and I don't think I did that in the talk part of the video, is that this section is very ribbed, and you will get ink in the ribs when you ink up the pen. Now, this is a cartridge converter filled pen, so the simple solution, of course, is to ink up the cartridge directly from the bottle, the converter directly from the bottle, and then just dip the nib, and then it should also work. I just forgot to mention that. The Mont Blanc M Fine Nib ink, ST Dupont Royal Blue, and here you hear the feedback of the nib. Not scratchy, but definitely feedbacky. I would like a little bit smoother, personally. For example, the Omas Paragon I have has a fine nib that is really smooth, but it's also wider than this, so there's a plus side to every downside, so to speak. Now, with a bit of fast writing, if you do like a really fine nib, then I think this is a pretty cool one. That's horrible jumps, but it's just about being quick here. And there isn't really any skipping, so that's really nice. As to the wetness of the pen, it is a fine nib. And it's not the wettest in the world. It's not excessively dry, but it's not a gusher by all means. Line variation, I'm not even pushing down so hard on this nib. You can see that there's definitely some line variation to be had, which makes for very decent line variation and a bit of character to your writing. And I don't feel like I'm pushing this so hard that I'll spring it, so that's cool. Then a bit of reverse writing for those of you who like this. Is a bit scratchier, but you will get, in this case, I think extra fine, or maybe even extra fine. Definitely a bit scratchier than when you use it the correct way up. Okay, so this pen was sent by Appelboom Pennen, so appelboompennen.nl. You can go there, you can get yours there. Now, one thing I'd like to point out is that typically when I review pens that are lent to me by Appelboom, I also tell you to go to my website, click on their banner and order your pen there, because then you get a 10% discount. That doesn't work for Mont Blanc pens. So I'm sorry about that. That is not something that Appelboom came up with, but Mont Blanc doesn't allow that. So this kind of system doesn't work. So no discount, but still, if you're in the US, you can pick up your pen there and don't pay VAT, which may still make it interesting for you to get it there. Appelboom, Joost, that is, thank you a lot for lending me this pen. It's coming back to you right now. Guys, I hope this was useful, and I'll gladly see you later.